Hey, everybody. Once again, welcome to Strong Witness Story Session. You know, we do this every Tuesday at 6 Central Time. And I can share a story. I was on this live Zoom call for like an hour. It came down to the wire. I had my hand raised for like 20 minutes on the Zoom. And I was so grateful I got to get in, ask my question, and make it back over here in time. But with a couple minutes late, so please forgive me. But man, I was just excited to ask my question. So that's why I'm still like, ooh, and it was good. And I got a very good and favorable answer. But so today's story session is called My Life's Journey. And what I did, and you guys got to believe me that I actually do this stuff, that I write and type different things that I, for some reason, can never pull up into the screen. But I do have some questions to ask you. So our guest today is going to come and share her story on just that, her life's journey. And we all have a journey and a season of life that has been heavier more so than others. So here's some questions I'm going to ask. And you know what? I made put some questions up. So I want us to think about this question. I know we have Anika. She's going to come up and share her story in a moment. But one question I want everybody to think about before we really jump in and get started is, what moments have been the most impactful or defining for you to date in your life? Right? So when we talk about our life's journey, I mean, obviously when Anika comes up, she's not going to start from like day one. I don't know. Maybe she will start from day one. But if you ask me about my life journey, maybe I'll start there. If you ask me about, hey, Sister Rachel, Casey, all back from the beach looked beautiful. It was dope. It's good to see you. Hey, Lisa. If we think about our life's journey, I was born in Fort Dix, New Jersey. Like I can say I was born in Fort Dix, New Jersey, Walston Hospital. And you know what I mean? Boom. Hey, Gigi. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to start there. But a good part about storytelling, I say this all the time, is you want to start from the height of the story. You want to start from the part that was most impactful, or the part that wants to draw everybody in. But I want you to think about what moment in life is most defining for you. And then when you have that thought, because I want us to think about that too, because I want everybody to get into the flow of storytelling, which we do way more than we give ourselves credit for. The next thing I want you to think about is, when you reflect upon your life and your journey and your story, what feelings and experiences come to mind for you? So immediately when you think about, boom, this season was most impactful and defining for me, when that comes to mind, boom, when you think about that, now what feeling goes with that? And then from there, that's where your story begins to flow. But I want you to keep that in mind, even as we sit here and hear Anika's story. And I'm so grateful for Anika. We've chatted a little bit, here and there about her story. If you know Anika, you know she got some energy. She's passionate. She's on fire for the Lord. That's for sure. And she has some things to share. I know a little bit about her. We do go to church together. I know you've been to Michigan, or you're from Michigan. Last week, I thought Flint and Detroit were closer than they were, but they aren't, I learned. But she's going to come up and share some things with us. But remember, these questions I want you to keep in mind. Remember, today's story session is My Life's Journeys Part 1. So I'm going to bring Anika up. We're going to ask her to introduce herself. And Anika, how you doing?
Great.
You look beautiful. It's good to see you. Long time. I know I just saw you a couple minutes ago. But it's great to see you. And I'm so excited that you are here. You're going to share this story. And I'm going to move out the way, and I'm going to let you flow. Now, everybody who's on here, if you could do Strong Witness a favor, if you can do Anika a favor, make sure you share this post, this video, and let Anika, this is your space to just flow, right? So take us through your story, your journey. And what I love about Anika's story is that she labeled it Part 1, understanding that it's not over yet, right? God still has great work for her to do. So Anika, I'm gonna let you flow. I'm gonna move out the way. If you need me, I'm gonna hop back up anyway.
Okay.
So I see you got your people on here. Your cousin, I guess.
Yes,
probably your brother.
I've never shared this with a lot of people.
That's okay. Okay, you ready to share it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, move out the way. All right. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anika Cuba. I do attend True Praise Spiritual Church here in Everman, Texas, living out of Fort Worth. I just had a story. I've been praying on it for a while, and it's been happening to me years ago, but it took this long to actually be able to talk about it. Disclaimer, just an emotional person, but my tears now is tears of joy, tears of happiness, and moving forward. Um, I want to talk about a dream I had back in 1994, the beginning of summer around May, when the Lord came to me and gave me a dream. I dreamed my mother would pass away. What happened, taking you back a little bit before then, um, moved to Texas back in 1984. I was eighth grade, I think, going to ninth grade. It's been some years ago. A lot of people don't know my age, but it's been some years ago. I look good for my age, but 50, 51. So moving to Texas, dramatic, big problem, big change in my life. My sister and brother came with us, but of course they were older. Sister didn't stay long. Brother decided to stay with his dad. He went back. Everybody was in Michigan. So of course I was left alone with my mother, of course, thank God, the love of my life, my strength, my rock, my counselor, everything. She was everything to me. So after high school, graduated, just a short story, thought I was going to college, thought I was in love. This man said he loved me. So of course I loved him, but I had a God-fearing mother, had a praying mother. He was going into the military, and my mother told me, you're not going anywhere unless he marry you. Anywhere. I was grown, but that was my mom. And I told him the same thing she told me. And of course, he wanted to marry me. So got married. Long story short, 2 years later, I'm back in Texas. Went to California, back in Texas. You know, when you're faithful, everybody else is not faithful. When you change your life, sometimes nobody cares. My mother sent my sister to get me from California. Whatever I could pack in the car, I packed it and we left. I came back to Texas, went back to school for a moment. And then I remember my mama talking to me about how my uncle Robert, he lived in Seattle, Washington, and how he had two younger kids. He has, you know, how different men do different things. They have an older set of kids. He got some 50-year-olds. He had, the ones I was babysitting, now they in their 30s. So it's Nick and Breezy. Went down there to babysit them, was having a good time, had been there about 6 months in Seattle, Washington. It rains a lot in Seattle. Didn't really like it, but I was happy with the family. I'm all about family. I remember one night going to bed, just a normal day, sleep. I remember waking up around 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know if you guys ever had a dream of so impactful, so powerful that when you wake up, I woke up tears just engulfed. I couldn't hardly speak. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I had dreams. I've been having dreams my whole life. God has been in my life my whole life. I'm fine. God has been in my life. Everybody used to tell me, God has a purpose for you. You have, he has something for you. You dream dreams. I used to tell my pastor that I went to church with my mom, the pastor in Texas. I would say, I don't want this. She would say, well, you have a destiny. You have something that you need to do. You have purpose. I said, I don't want this. I remember praying to God, just please stop these dreams. Because I would have dreams and I felt obligated to tell people about the dreams. But people come to you and they look at you crazy when you tell them. They don't believe you. But that night, I had a dream around 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't remember nothing but picking up the phone. And the next thing I remember, hey, what you doing? My mama. I'm crying. I'm hysterical. I don't remember the whole conversation, but I remember her saying, Nika, you always dream. You always have dreams. When you dream, it's about somebody else. It's never about who you dream about. I said, I dreamed about you. She said, what was the dream? I told her a dream that she told me she was so tired. She was so tired. And how she didn't want to be here. She just too tired. So long story short, I don't know how long we was on the phone, but we was on the phone. I just remember her soothing me. I remember her calming me down. I don't remember even going back to sleep. Everybody else was in the house. I thought it would be so loud that my uncle would come running in. Didn't happen. The kids didn't wake up. God is so good. It was just me and her. So that morning, I got up. Oh, I remembered everything. And I went in the kitchen. I told my uncle, I gotta go. He was like, where you going? Where you gotta go? I said, I gotta go. I don't know. He said, well, your mother already called me. I understand. He said, I got your ticket for Thursday. I think it was a Monday. And that was that story. I ended up back in Texas. That was like latter part of May. I came back home. You know, I was loving on her, being with her the whole summer. I really didn't go with friends. I didn't hang out. I just always wanted to stay around the house. When she goes somewhere, I hop in the car. I want to go too. And then I got comfortable. But that was God warning me. They say he will never give you too much that you can't handle. And that's true. I needed that dream. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't have that dream. But I feel so loved and so blessed by God for giving me that dream. So I went home May, June, July, just happy friends. You know, I still hung out with my friends, but I didn't spend a night nowhere. I was grown at this point. Don't forget. 19, and I'm sorry, I didn't tell you a date, 1994. I was grown, 24 years old. I could have been anywhere, could have done anything, but I was still at home with mama because I had just came back from Seattle. I remember one day, I always used to go in their bathroom to get dressed or whatever because she was married. There's a man who she married who took us to Texas, my stepfather, Ivory. He go to work for TDC and he would always be gone. He leaves like at 5 something in the morning. So as we get up for the day, 7 to 8 o'clock, I remember jumping in the bed with mama. What are you doing? What are you doing? Nothing. Just loving on her, hugging on her. I remember her saying, she got to clean up. She got to do this, do that before my stepfather get home. She was one of the women who's always about her husband. He made her happy, which made me happy. I remember her getting up. I went in my room, got my clothes, and I was going to her bathroom and she was coming out her room. So we're walking like this. And I always used to pop my mom on her butt. I don't have one, but she had one. So I was always pop her. So I remember the last thing I did is when she was passing me by, I went to pop her at the same time she went to pop me. That had never happened before. And when I looked at her, I saw the biggest smile, huge smile. I'm fine. So I proceeded that day. I had been invited to a rodeo in Madisonville, Texas, which is like 30 miles away. All my friends was going. So I felt like God warned me, but maybe he warned me for 5 years down the line. Maybe he warned me for 10 years down the line. I didn't know. So I went to this rodeo. I was chilling, all the girls hanging out together. We came back. It was, I don't know, I want to say 1 something, maybe 2. It's been a lot of years. So don't hold me to it. But we came back and we went over one of my friends' house. I want to say Veronica's. Went over her house and we was all going to stay there and spend the night because don't get me wrong, I stay with my mama, but I still have rules. Remember, if these kids come home, they still got to have rules. And I knew after a certain time, I wasn't going to her house. I wouldn't disrespect her house like that. So we was getting ready to stay over Veronica's. We was all getting in the house. We had just pulled up. And one of my best friends, Donna Rogers, her mama called. And I remember that conversation. Just a good woman. She's passed away recently, but a good woman. She lived almost 30 something. close to 28 years after my mama passed. But I remember her getting on the phone. I don't know if she called my phone or Donna's phone. I don't recall. But she got on the phone. She was like, Nika? I was like, yes, ma'am. I said, what are you doing up so late? How, what's going on? She said, there's something going on. Your stepfather wanted to talk to you. You need to go up to the hospital. I said, what's wrong? She still wouldn't tell me, but just in the sweetest voice, calming as if nothing was wrong. But that's what I needed at that time. I remember getting in the car and I was calling Ivory. And I was like, you got to the hospital? He said, no, I said, what's going on? And he said, Mildred, that was her name. I'm fine. Mama passed out in the bathroom. And he said she had hit her head on a tub. I said, where is she? Where y'all at? To my son, they finna fly her to Houston. I was like, well, I mean you. I can meet you. Where are you meeting? I said, you riding a helicopter? And this all part is like really shaky to me. As meaning I don't really recall, but this is what I know. Somehow we met up. He didn't fly in a helicopter. Me and him met up while they flew mama. And Huntsville to Houston is like deep in Houston. The Herman Hospital is almost an hour. I just kept saying to myself, as somebody thought, do you really supposed to get in the airplane? Do you really supposed to have pressure? I've always been a very inquisitive person, intelligent person. And I didn't know. I don't remember the drive. I don't think we said one word to each other. I don't remember. But we made it to Houston. We made it to Herman Memorial Hospital. I'm fine. And that's when I was like, what happened? And he started telling me again. He said, I heard something go, hit the tub. And I said, Mildred. She didn't respond. So he said he went to the bathroom. And when he went to the bathroom, she was on the ground by the bathtub. I said, did she say anything? Come together? Did she say any words? And he said, all she said was, help me. I was like, okay. She knew something was going on. And I immediately thought about my dream. And it was like fog. It was like fog. I didn't bring no tissue in here. But there's always a kid shirt somewhere around here. It was like fog. And then we got there. I don't know what was going on. I just heard aneurysm. I heard brain dead. I'm still fine. I really didn't know. Everybody know brain dead, but I've heard of people that keep on machines for a long, long time. And I heard sometimes, they do their work and they come back. All I knew was I had to get to my sister. I'm fine. And my brother. My sister's 4 years older than me, and my brother's 2 years older than me. I have a lot more on my daddy's side, like 10 altogether, but it was us. That's all we knew was me, my brother Zella, and my sister Zella, and my brother Bobby. I said, I got to get to him. I remember calling my daddy and said, I need my brother and sister. I didn't tell him I needed him. Love him to death. But I needed my brother and sister. I remember saying, I'll get him there. The next day, Bobby was scheduled to come. The next day, Zala was scheduled to come because the doctor started saying that we can't keep her on for long. We don't have to take her off life support. I'm thinking, man, I've kept people on life support for months, for days. But they don't want to give me 24 hours. Okay. I already know. She already had told me when I would call her that morning, if it's my time, I'm ready. I remember that just as clear. If it's my time, I'm ready. I lived a good life. God is the head of my life. I remember all that. And then Bobby got to the hospital, but Zala, unfortunately, missed the flight, or the flight missed her. I don't know what happened, but she wasn't able to make it. It's always the one, and she's the one that took it the hardest. You think I took it harder, but she took it the hardest. She was the oldest. I remember just a loving mom. I know she probably knew more of mom, but I remember just the smile, the love, the care. I treated my kids the same way she treated me. Just love, 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 all love. Long story short, passed away. Friends showed up. Best friends came up to the hospital. It was all a blur. I don't remember very much. I don't remember how I got to Flint. I don't know who flew with me. But I know I had to go to Flint because that's our hometown. That's where my mama's from. That's where all her sisters and stuff is from. The whole family. Ivy was from Michigan, so I knew I had to get her. We had to go back. So he was telling Ivy, you know, he knew we had to take her back. I remember going to my auntie house in Michigan. Let me look at the time. Okay, I'm doing good. My auntie, Aunt Ollie, she's the one that if anybody passed, you know, everybody got one of them aunties that get involved. She go from 0 to 100. She know all the insurance company names. She know it all. Aunt Ollie was trying to help. And I'm glad for Aunt Ollie because I needed that. I needed that. But I also sat around the table and I can remember different things God girded me up for this moment in my time, this moment that I had to go through. I don't know what my mom was thinking, but let me tell you how God works. I was a baby when my mama worked for AC. You know, in Michigan, all the automobile companies and everything. She worked for AC Spark Plugs for years. There, she had an accident where she fell, hence hit her head. So, you know, I don't know if the aneurysm, so they say, was from years ago. You know, when a person in God, that don't matter to me because I know where she's going. I don't need an autopsy. I don't need nobody to tell me what happened to her. She gone. So all those years after she got married, my mom had me as her beneficiary, her youngest child, on all her life stuff. Let me tell you how my God works. I'm a sister and brother and me. You know, we all got sisters and brothers. My sister, she's a little mean something, but I love her. My brother, I'm the youngest, but everybody know who I am. I'm the youngest, but I am who I am. So I was on support of everything. I was like, oh my God, Jesus, what? Got Aunt Ollie in one ear. Your mother would have wanted this. Your mother would have wanted that. Nah. Talked to my siblings. We said what kind of casting. She was always into wood, what you call it, oak, real oak, nice. We went. And with Aunt Ollie help, we went. We took care of my Aunt Peaches too. We went. We did all the service. I had to sign everything. My stepfather was still around. He had family in Michigan still around, but it was like, y'all make sure y'all take care of y'all business. You got to take care of your business. People show up. They show up when something happens. So, long story short, we buried my mom. That day, all I can remember is everything was white. The flowers, everywhere. Whole front of the church, flowers everywhere. People have came up to me since 1994 and said, "Oh, I remember when I saw you when you was at your mom's funeral." Okay, I don't remember you, or I don't remember nothing from that day, but just it was like a homecoming. It was like a celebration. I don't remember. And I always kept saying to myself, because my Aunt Allie, I kept saying, nobody better not act the fool. Nobody better not act the fool. Not at this funeral. Not at this one. So it was a nice funeral. I remember after the funeral, went to my auntie house where we was going to all, sit down and eat. I remember sitting on the couch. And I don't remember nothing else. I think I slept there for hours and hours. All those people going through the house, all those people getting plates, and I slept and slept. My brother told me, my daddy, every time somebody tried to wake me up, he said, "Leave her alone. Leave her alone." And it was the most peaceful rest I had in a long, long time. Next couple of days later, everybody want to talk about benefits and blah, blah, blah. What are you talking about? I got to get my stepfather out of debt. I got to make him right. I got to give, you got people that don't want to do and don't want to give nothing. That man took care of us. That man moved us to Texas. That man made my mama happy, and I was happy. She was happy. Didn't do no wrong to her. Loved her so much. So long story short, divide, give, siblings, stepfather. After that, came back to Texas. It was a pivotal point in my life when I lost my mother. Like I said, my rock, my everything. We used to, when we upped and moved to Texas, and that to me was an up and move. And it seemed like I've been up and moving ever since. I did for years. When I had a problem, when I just couldn't figure something out, my thing was move somewhere else, start fresh. Nobody knows, and you just start fresh. But God, who was the head of my life, been with me this whole time. I never knew. I knew but didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You know, but you don't know. That was a pivotal point in my life when I lost my mom. It changed my whole life. It changed everything. I know with the world today and how everybody going through grief and how COVID and everything that's on our land is causing a lot of death. I had prayed for this about a month or 2 months ago. I kept watching Dr. Latoya, and I kept saying, I need to be able to tell my story. I need to be able to tell someone, to help someone. I'm all about helping someone. I'm all about making somebody's life a little bit easier so they don't have to go through the things that a lot of us go through. But I say this to say that if your mom is still here, is still alive, love her. You will miss her when she goes. It would affect everything in your life. And I'm crying because never told this story to anyone. I tell my siblings when it happened, I had told them, because my siblings, I wanted to comfort them. I wanted to let them know when she told me that she was ready and that if it was her time, she's all right. She had went to the dentist a week before that. You got people that say, the dentist did something. You need to do an autopsy. You need to find out what happened to her. No, not when they in God, not when they're a woman of God, not when she tell me she's ready, not when she's saved, baptized, and Holy Ghost filled. I didn't have to do that. So I hope and I wish I had notes, but of course I didn't. That was just for me to do as a focal point. But this was just one journey of my life. After losing my mom, I did come back to Texas. I came back to Texas. Everybody thought, hey, you're 24, you're 24 years old. My dad asked me, did I want to stay here? I do. And I can't honestly say that. My daddy asked me, did I want to stay in Michigan and don't go back to Texas? But of course, all my stuff was here. But it was like I was coming back to Texas with just my stepfather, and I did. But I didn't know where it was going to take me. Part 2 is it's a good journey. It's a crazy journey. It's a crazy journey. I don't know if y'all know about the Bible, how they said the people was, it was some group that was not even, so many feet away from their destiny, but they circled around for 40 years. That's what I've been doing up until 2018 in the cycle. And thank God I've been released. Thank God I'm free. I'm so blessed for Lord put me in True Praise Spiritual Church. I'm so blessed to meet my pastor, Deidre Hicks. She just don't know. God has changed my life. And I'm hoping everybody, if you have questions or whatever, you may do so. I'm done, LaToya.
Yeah, no, I got you. I just wanted to come back up here. Man, Anika, thank you so much for sharing that story. And I think, I don't want to speak for anybody else. You guys can give your comments, but I know I felt every word that you said. I know you shared a little bit with me when we had chatted before this, but I'm just so grateful that you were able to share it. And what a prophetic dream that you received, a direct message from the Lord. And I'm just grateful that you listened, right? We said that when I was chatting with you before, and you had those beautiful months in between to spend time with your mom. And even noticing the beauty of everything, the laughter, hopping in the car, and her big smile. So I think that's awesome. And I want to say, I mean, even the comments, I know you got a lot of family on here. You must have a big old family. But this person, Jesse, even saying that he met you in San Antonio and nothing but love. I thought that too, because you're like, yeah, I'm all about helping people. I was like, I couldn't type it fast enough. I started doing something else, because I'll put a banner up there in a second. I'm like, yeah, you sure are. You got the scoop on things, and you are all about helping somebody else. Shawnee said you're a phenomenal woman.
That's amazing.
Oh, hey, Shawnee. And Dion just sending love, and
my best friend.
Yeah, and even Sister Sheila just saying your story hit home, and that's the power of storytelling. That knowing that you're connecting with somebody else, and somebody may not know how to put words to their story. But even by you sharing what that time is, and you reminded all of us that for those of us that are fortunate enough to have our mothers still here with us, to love them, right? To hug on them, and to notice the little things. The smiles, the laughter, the moments, and to cherish those things.
For sure.
Yeah. Sure. Anybody have any thoughts for Anika? Like, Anika, thank you so much for sharing the story. And I love, again, I mentioned this, I mentioned this too in the beginning, is that I just lost my train of thought completely, but it's going to come back to me in 2 seconds. Okay. About when it comes to our life's journey. And I asked everybody to think about this if you were on the beginning. And if you weren't, I want you to think about it right now. I want you to think about this one first. What moments have been the most impactful or defining for you in your life's journey? And that's what I love about, it's coming back to me now, Anika, is that when we talked about this, she's like, no, call that part 1. Because that was season, 1, I guess, if she was writing a book or if it was a play, and this would be like the intermission is what she's saying. Like, I went through that season. I was young. She said, I was in love. I went over here, had this dream, and came back, spent this beautiful time with my mother, and then her mother's passed. And then she talks about wandering. And that whole wandering scene could be a whole nother scene in a book, right? If we're talking about storytelling, that could be a whole nother scene. But she's saying, listen, we can call that part 1, it's intermission. But when the Lord came into my life and I got relationship for real, and when she said, when I got planted at this church, True Praise Spiritual Church, with this pastor, Deidre Hicks, for real, like things began to change. And she saw the hand of God even more so in her life. And then purpose came. And that's why she called it part 1, because there's a whole part 2. that with this purpose that you're realizing. I don't want to speak for you. I feel like I just grabbed the
No,
mic and like
no,
I'm just
you're
summarizing
hitting
your
it.
story. But
You're
I
hitting
want you to talk about it too. But I
Thank
want
you.
everybody to think about, again, when it comes to storytelling, and now just even asking the question, what moments have been the most impactful or defining for you when you think about your own life journey? Was it a moment of grief? Was it happy? Was it heartbreak? Was it love? Was it a move? What transition was it? But think about those things, even when you want to come to share your story, or if you have a story on the
Yeah.
inside of you that you're like, I have no idea how I want to express this. You start by these things. Like, what is the moment? What can you say?
Yeah.
Right? How can I reflect upon it? I started Strong Witness off one story. I tell it especially every April, but I always tell that story. But I got more stories on the inside of me that was a whole huge season of my life. And I'm like, man, I got to share this story. And, I'm going to put it together and I'm going to release that one too. Right. Because we're all made of stories. But it's the idea of, again, that's how our healing comes, when we let these things go and not hold on to them.
Yeah.
And then when you think about that journey and that moment and that space that's the most impactful for you, now I want you to think about the feelings and experiences you have that connect with that. Right? Because Anika, I've never met your mother. She sounds like the most beautiful woman, but I can think, like I just did a minute ago, I can picture, okay, these are the feelings that come. Or from your story, I grabbed hold of various emotions that you were telling.
Yeah.
And the same thing for all of us. When you think about this moment that's most impactful for you, okay, right there in that space, what feelings come with it? What can you connect with it? What can you say about it? Is it excitement? Is it fear? Is it sometimes being numb? Sometimes you just have so much going on, right? But I want everybody to think about that for yourselves, even as you try to piece together your moments
Because
in your story.
After losing my mom, it's another journey, but I've been waiting to die ever since 1994. You think, how you think, you're next, might as well be next. Why not? Until 2018 is when I realized I ain't going nowhere. God has something for me to do. So suck it up. I never thought I would see my daughter grown. My oldest, 20, she's been 23 in September. I never thought about it when she get grown, what we would do, where we would go. It just wasn't a thought for me because I always thought I would leave before then. So God is good.
Amen. See, you got purpose. If you're here, you got purpose. And it's about discovering that or connecting. But you got an impact on Jesse. Like Jesse said, when stepped up to take care of nieces and nephew. That's awesome.
It's awesome.
And then different praises. Anika, do you have anything else
No.
that you want to share? Any other part of your story? Or what about before we jump off, if you can just speak to somebody else? I heard you say you're 24 when you lost your mother, or when your mother passed away. That's Jesse, right?
Oh, okay. His sister's in a dark place. Jesus.
And that's why he's taken care of.
Yes.
Again, I tell and we're gonna be praying for it too, Jesse. I tell you, like, one thing about Strong Witness, this is a storytelling community, but you on here with there's people on here right now who are watching. You got some praying people on here, Jesse.
Oh, for sure.
They definitely gonna pick that up, and definitely we're gonna be praying for your sister as well. But Anika, what would you even say to a young adult, especially, or anybody who loses their mom, that time period? Because you said you wandered for a while. How can you help somebody else not to be in that space of wandering, but to get planted, connect? Yeah.
I think of I don't know, I think of just one person. I know my father said it, but well, you don't really know my father, but he was a guy that, multiple kids, multiple different women, love him to death, but it's not where I wanted to be at 24. I want to go back. Once you see a better place than Michigan, for some reason, you just don't want to stay there no more. You'll visit, but you don't want to stay. I just wish, like Pastor say, is after somebody passes away, If people would just make sure you reach out, make sure you send them a text, send them a card, go to lunch with them, take them somewhere, you know, because it's like after that, it's just silence. It's nothing, it's silence. And you can get deeply rooted in your own grief. And without someone or something, it could have been an animal. Maybe I should have bought a dog. I don't know. But you need something, somebody. And by me coming back to Texas, it's just my stepfather. He's never been a love him to death, but he's not a talkative person. He's not a, you know, go here, go there with me, do this, do that. No, we were living in the house, but in really not together. He on one side of the house, I'm way on the other side of the house. Didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what I was doing. So I would just say, find someone that you can speak to, like counseling, like what you do. Find a counselor, someone that you maybe can get through your insurance to pay for some sessions. If not, you know, sometimes you got to save up a little money. Sometimes you don't go out for a couple of weekends in order to take care of your health, your mental health, because that would have kept me from decades of turmoil, decades of running into the wrong people. You know, I ran into my kid's father after my mom's death. She passed away September of 1994. I think I met that devil in October or November. And you know how you say somebody in your season, you just need them for a season, you need them for a moment. And I took that season into 20 years of just chaos. And it never should have been if I had somebody else, if I was with family, if I, you know, they would have never got a hold of me if I was with other people that I love or other people that loved me. But that's the journey part too. I'm always here for anybody that want to call, talk, speak. You know, sometimes Facebook is good. Message people. You're feeling down, you're feeling low. Been there too. You know, everybody losing jobs now. Everybody's going through depression. Everybody's going through, you know, grief. Just talk to somebody. Be available. That's what I was saying.
That's a good point, because a lot of people are, you know, I mean, we all have low moments here and there, but just knowing that you can reach out and that's the heart I can tell you have, Anika, like being genuine, like Jesse was saying, with people, and it definitely shows through. Plus, you got the resources for everything. So I know this time, right? I messaged you like, yo, Anika, I need to tell somebody about something. How do I find this?
24 hours, I'll make it happen.
All I need. You know how to find it. Here's a statement: anytime I'm down, I turn to you, and every time I feel like I do have purpose and keep thriving, never judge me, always encourage me and pray for me. I love you. That's your niece?
Yes.
That's special. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice for you to say, Shanice. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing. Remember, this one was called My Life Journey. And again, I just love the part, like, you know, Anika wanted to call it part 1, and I love it. Just even speaking about, she's saying that's, again, now when we talk about storytelling here, especially if it's a personal story, we always talk about that we want to make sure that we put in the stories that transition. So we don't stop at the low point, because we know that, listen, I'm sharing this story because I came out, or I'm sharing this story because I had this light bulb moment, and I want somebody else to come through too. Right? We don't want to turn around and be like, I was low, so you stay low, or you stay stuck. No, I was low, so I want to help you. And that's what Nika was saying at the end. Okay, after the services, people kind of leave. So put yourself around good people. Right, that you can link up with, that you can love and you can connect with, and it's healthy, and reach out, and for others to reach out to. So, Anika, we thank you.
And True Praise has done that for me. Moving up here, God took me to my lowest point. Lost a job of 10 years. After losing a job, got unemployment, had money, but I didn't have nobody. Again, still looking for love. Didn't have nobody to love. So he moved me to Fort Worth. When I found that church that day, just riding around looking for somewhere to go, and ever since then, I've been positive. I've been up. I have reasons to live, reasons to do things, and I just want to tell a dying world that there's so much more, and God is it.
Amen. Amen. Tava, is that how you say her name? Tava. Tava. Yep. You always have the resources. See, other people know, and thanks for sharing your love. And Sister Rashaw said she loves you.
Love you too.
And Another sibling?
Oh, that's my brother. Yeah.
Brother. Okay. All right. All right, Anika, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing. I want you to stay on here for a second. But everybody, I thank you for joining. Make sure you share the video, especially if you know somebody who can really connect to Anika's story and really needs to hear the words that she had to share. And make sure for yourselves, if you have a pain point, something that you're holding, a story on the inside, and something that you're going through, make sure that you begin to speak it. Now, you may not do it on this platform if you're not ready, right? But also make sure that you connect with somebody else and you begin to talk about those things. And when you think about that experience, really be present and try to connect with what you're feeling and the emotions. That's where the healing comes from. Not when we push it to the side every time, but when we really sit with it and connect with it, and really confront everything that's going on with this. So we thank you so much, Anika. This was Anika. Is it Cuba or Cuba? Cuba. I always want to say it like I got this accent like I don't have. Anika Cuba, right? Yeah. But remember, this is my life's journey. Part 1 is that she told, and you never know when she'll come back. Like, listen, I'm a little bit into part 2. I'm gonna start sharing a little bit. So we thank you so much, Anika, for we thank you so much for even sharing this. Next week's story session, next week, well, week and a half is August the 28th. And if you don't know, August the 28th has a lot of significance. It's a week and a half. It's not, next week is not the 28th, but hear me out for a second. We're going to be talking about the significance of that date. Dr. King delivered his letter with the I Have a Dream speech. It's not called that, but he delivered it on the 28th. There's different things that happen in Black history on 20th. All of a sudden I'm going blank, but I'm still going to keep talking because it's going to come back to me. It's also Giving Day, right? For Black nonprofits and businesses. We're going to have somebody on here who's a part of a local nonprofit. I think it was Emmett Till, like the judgment, either it occurred or something with the judgment on that day. But there's so much that happened in Black history on 8/28, but we're going to talk about. So what I chopped up right there, we're going to talk about it next week. And somebody from the Black giving community, a Black giving circle, is going to come and talk about even her wanting to be in political office here in this area, but the significance of that date, especially for the Black community. Even with it, Siobhan was on a couple of weeks ago, and Hurricane Katrina occurred on that date as well. So there's so much significance with the date, but we're gonna chop it up and talk about it. So thank you so much for joining us. For those that join us for the first time, thank you. Come back even when Anika's not talking, or if it's Anika that brings you back, I'm gonna bring her up just so you come back in. If you have a story that you want to share, I always say this, and I don't have my email up there. Make sure you message me, Latoya Smith, or email me, or get with Anika or whoever. Let me know about your story, and we'll talk about it, process it first, and then we'll get you up here to get to sharing. I think that'll be dope. Okay. So thank you all so much. You have a blessed Tuesday, and we'll see you next week, 6 p.m. Central every Tuesday.